Giorgio Armani came into this world in the Italian town of Piacenza on July 11, 1934. The glitz and glamour that one may expect from a future fashion icon is not what he experienced as a child. On the contrary, it was molded by austerity measures, self-control, and the grit of a post-war society. Armani's mom stayed at home, and his dad was a shipping manager. Armani endured hardship, grief, and uncertainty as a child growing up in a modest home during the dark years of World War II. His upbringing instilled in him the principles of perseverance, pragmatism, and subtle grace that would come to characterize his whole professional life. Armani never dreamed of being a fashion designer when he was a kid. He entered the medical school at the University of Milan after finishing high school because he wanted to be a doctor. A career in medicine appeared like a respectable and honorable choice. Before long, though, Armani saw that he had misunderstood. Nothing about being a doctor, the clinical setting, the rigorous coursework, and the constant scrutiny struck a chord with him. He finally took the tough choice to quit medical school after 3 years and start over. It was a choice that would alter the course of his life in the world of international fashion. After Armani left the medical field, he was lost and confused about his future. He got his start as a window dresser at La Renaissance, a Milanese department store. This seemingly insignificant job ended up being a watershed moment in his life. At this school, he studied consumer psychology, the importance of presentation, and the skill of eye-catching display. Armani's innate aesthetic sensibilities and meticulous attention to detail started to show. His knack for arranging forms, colors, and textiles in a way that looked good and felt good was immediately apparent. Armani was unwittingly entering a realm that would one day recognize him as its ruler. When Nino Cerruti recruited Armani to work as a menswear designer for the Cerruti brand in the 1960s, it was Armani's big break. This chance presented him with a great opportunity to try new things, be creative, and hone his skills. Armani started to develop his own fashion philosophy while working at Cerruti. In contrast to the overly structured suits that were popular among males at the time, he preferred loose-fitting garments that were both comfortable and elegant. Clothes, according to Armani, should do more than just look good. They should also be comfortable. At the same time, he met Sergio Gagliotti, who would go on to be his friend, business partner, and biggest fan. Thanks to Gagliotti's support and faith in Armani's abilities, the fashion designer was able to forge his own path. Sergio Gagliotti and Giorgio Armani started their own business, Giorgio Armani S.p.A., in 1975. They started out with a little office and few resources. The designs of Armani were immediately noticeable. He revolutionized menswear with his loose, airy coats and suits that shook up the industry. Armani presented a contemporary, natural style that men could move freely in, as opposed to stiff, uncomfortable tailoring. Elegance is in keeping things simple, according to his perspective. This daring yet nuanced change became his signature and caught people's eyes right away. In 1980, when Armani was discovered by Hollywood, things really started to swing around. The world went crazy for Italian fashion house Armani after Richard Gere wore one of their suits in American Gigolo. Suits designed by Armani were an instant hit around the world after the film popularized his ultra-modern aesthetic. Hollywood A-listers began to exclusively wear Armani after that. Red carpets, movie sets, and the most glitzy events started featuring his designs. A symbol of opulence and refinement, Armani had transcended his role as a mere designer. Armani established one of the world's most illustrious fashion dynasties during the 80s and 90s. Not content to stop at men's suits, he ventured into women's apparel, accessories, fragrances, cosmetics, sportswear, and even home decor. To expand into new areas, Armani also launched many sub-brands, such as Armani Jeans, Armani Casa, Armani Exchange, Armorio Armani, and eventually Armani Hotels. From young, trend-conscious consumers to those with deeper pockets, each line catered to a specific demographic. The characteristic minimalism, elegance, and attention to detail of Armani lingered throughout all price points. He proved that a designer could build a lifestyle brand in addition to a clothes label with his empire, which became an example of diversification. Armani had his share of personal challenges along the way. Sergio Gagliotti's untimely death from sickness in 1985 was a devastating blow. Armani saw this as a test of his professional and personal mettle. Armani oversaw the artistic part of the empire, while Gagliotti oversaw its commercial operations. Many people worried that Armani couldn't handle the company's responsibilities on her own. They were mistaken, though, by Armani. He refused to give up, instead channeling his grief into determination. He became its sole proprietor and transformed it into a global powerhouse among independent fashion firms. His fortitude throughout this time cemented his image as an ambitious entrepreneur and forward-thinking designer. The Armani brand was well known by the 1990s. His creations were donned by athletes, global leaders, and celebrities. From the Italian national football team to Hollywood heavyweights like George Clooney and Julia Roberts, he dressed them all. Perfumes from his label, such as Acqua di Gio and Armani Code, shot to fame and became global blockbusters. Armani even opened five-star hotels in Milan and Dubai, expanding his business empire even further afield. He had expanded his dominion beyond the realm of fashion to encompass the creation of a whole way of life. Armani maintained his reclusiveness and self-control despite his meteoric rise to fame. Because he was so committed to his career, he never married. Armani stood in stark contrast to the ostentatious types usual in the fashion industry. He was known for his humility and concentration. He shunned the limelight and lived a life of relative solitude. The meticulousness, agelessness, and refinement of his creations were reflections of his own self-discipline. True style, according to Armani, is not about ostentation, but about essence. Just as his life was a mirror of that ideology, so were his clothes. Armani has been the recipient of several accolades throughout the years. Beyond his work as a fashion designer, he became an icon who rethought what it meant to be stylish for men and women alike. Beyond his work as a designer, he made significant contributions to the worlds of film, sports, and luxury branding. In doing so, he came to symbolize, on a worldwide basis, the ingenuity and skill of his own Italy. Giorgio Armani's empire now includes hundreds of boutiques all over the world and a brand value in the billions. However, fame and fortune are not the only aspects of his legacy. A shift in global perception of style lies at the heart of this movement. Bold and ostentatious clothing can still make a statement, as Armani demonstrated. The pinnacle of elegance can be found in the most flawlessly executed simplicity. Bravery, vision, and tenacity are the virtues exemplified by Armani's life narrative. Starting from square one, he forewent a secure medical profession to create an empire. He remained steadfast in his vision despite suffering personal setbacks, facing professional obstacles, and dealing with the pressures of a rapidly evolving fashion industry. True excellence is achieved by the disciplined and dedicated pursuit of one's passion, as his journey exemplifies. Red carpets, high-end retailers, fragrances, hotels, and even the theory behind contemporary fashion all bear the imprint of Giorgio Armani. People often call him the king of fashion, since he changed the definition of elegance. Generations of designers and style enthusiasts have been inspired by his works. Giorgio Armani represents more than simply a label. He stands for classic elegance, understatement, and quality. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and press the bell icon. Thanks for watching.